What's up, YouTube? BigSweetC here with you. Got a special little video for you today. Today, as most of you guys have probably heard, Ricky Gervais obliterated the Hollywood elites during the Golden Globes this year, and it was absolutely fantastic for one major reason. That is simply because Hollywood needed to be put back in their place, if you will. So there has been this kind of, specifically since 2016 and the whole Donald Trump winning the election thing, there has been this kind of elitist bubble going on in the Hollywood circle, and Ricky Gervais went in with a sledgehammer and just plowed his way through this thick bubble of elitist, arrogant shite and just tore down everything, and it was beautiful. So before we get into why it's such an important part, I did just want to say I have left a link to this transcript if you want to read the actual opening. There's also a video, I believe. There'll be a link to that down in the description box below if you want to take it out. But I mean, he went after everybody. You know, he went after Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, Martin Scorsese, Leonardo DiCaprio. He went after all the networks: Netflix, HBO, ABC, NBC, Fox. And I mean, he just lit into them, and it's a very good monologue, and I definitely did enjoy it. It's the only 5 minutes of that entire Golden Globe show that you should watch, because the truth is, award shows are stupid and basically just a pat on the back for a person to say, I did a good job, when in reality, you know you did a good job because, well, people keep wanting to see your movie. So you don't need an award to tell you that you did a good job. Award shows are done for one reason: advertising. Most of these TV shows that win awards, some of them you've heard of, some of them you haven't. Most of these movies that win awards, some of them you've heard of them, some of them you haven't. They tend to go to ones that you haven't heard of, because they want you to then go out and watch that movie. So don't take these award shows to heart. They're not very good. They're not very entertaining outside of maybe 5 minutes of this, but they don't really mean a lot in the grand scheme of things. So don't look at it like they do. And this leads me into my point as of why it's such a fantastic moment in our current history that he went in and obliterated these guys, because we tend to hold Hollywood up on this pedestal, if you will. You know, we tend, in this country anyway, in America, we tend to look at people that are in the news, in movies, on the radio, on TV. We tend to look at these guys as maybe more than just average Americans, a little bit better than an average American. You know, they're very successful, they made their way, they are a certain individual that people listen to and feel they represent our ideals, when the truth is they don't. I lived in Hollywood for 10, 12 years, something like that, and I know firsthand that it is a ridiculously lonely place, no matter how many friends you have, because the friends you have are not really friends you have. Everybody loves you until they don't, and that's just how it goes. You know, like when I first moved out to LA, I could get any job I wanted for the first 9.5, 10 years that I was there. Any job that I applied for, boom, got it. All of a sudden, I met one guy that doesn't like me, and everybody else thought that I was poisoned. So my career went from being the hottest thing since sliced bread to immediately being dropped like a bad habit. And so it's just one of those areas where everybody is friendly to everybody because they feel you can get them somewhere, and then it turns out that they're too worried about their own status that they no longer really have their back, even if you guys were the greatest of friends, i.e. Jeffrey Epstein. And this is another thing that he points out. So, Jeffrey Epstein, if you guys haven't heard, was allegedly committed suicide in prison. But before that, he was one of the biggest ringmasters of this elite circle of pedophiles. Now, the truth is, 90% of Hollywood was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein until he got caught. And then all of a sudden everybody hated him. So, it's one of those things. You're my friend, you're my friend, you're my friend, until you're not. Donald Trump, same thing. I've seen pictures. Donald Trump hanging out with Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton at their wedding. Not their wedding, at Donald and Melania's wedding. And they're having the time of their life. They're best friends. They're hanging out. Donald Trump is giving them money to run their campaigns. They're giving Donald Trump good publicity, all this stuff. All of a sudden he starts running for president. Everybody hates him. He's a terrible guy. He's a racist. He's a xenophobe. Blah, 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 blah. It's just this immediate switch from liking to not liking. And that's all Hollywood is. That is all Hollywood is. And Ricky Gervais finally went through and cut through the fat. They're like, hey, the only reason you guys are here is because you weren't good enough to sell movie tickets before, so we need a reason to get you all here to make it look like you're important enough to go buy that movie ticket, or buy that newspaper, or buy that CD, or buy that DVD, or check out Netflix, or Disney Plus, or HBO Now. That's all these award shows are. And that is the beauty of why Ricky Gervais's fifth, maybe possibly final, hosting of the Golden Globes is so important. For the last 4 years, like I've been saying, there's been this just elite cloud of stardom that for the last 4 years have been telling us, Bernie Bros, Sarah Silverman wants you to stop being so ridiculous. Just vote for Hillary. Like they act like they know better than us. They pretend like they're smarter than us, even though half of these people were born into it, left high school to do it, didn't bother going to college to get into Hollywood, and we act like they're rocket scientists. They have this aura of just being better than you. And then all of a sudden Ricky Gervais comes in with his bulldozer and just levels this fucking toilet seat that they're all sitting on. Puts them back down to ground level, and it's beautiful. I highly recommend you guys checking it out. It's considered, from a comedic standpoint, punching up. It's what comedians are supposed to do. The idea of comedy is to not look at the lowest common denominator and make fun of it, like the Dennis Miller side of comedy. Comedy started at its roots being that poor, disenfranchised person and looking at the elitist side going, they're not better than I am. I'm as entertaining as they are. I just wasn't fortunate enough to be born with a silver spoon in my mouth. That's what comedy is. That's what comedy started. That is not where comedy has kind of gone. Thank God we still have Ricky Gervais to remind us of what the history of comedy is. He's essentially taken the torch from my personal favorite of all time, George Carlin, and run with it. To kind of go back to that time period, George Carlin was a man of modest means. Got a little famous doing comedy, a little more famous doing comedy, really, really famous doing comedy, to the point where he could have literally gone to any one of those people's houses at the Golden Globes and been best friends with them. But to his dying day, he was fighting that dichotomy. He was calling out the elites. He was calling out those that the big club, that he used to call it. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club. He could have easily walked through that door into the big club, but he had what we call integrity. Most of these Hollywood elites don't, and Ricky Gervais called him out for it. There's a quote in his thing: if ISIS had a streaming service, you'd be calling your agent the very next day. Because that's how they are. They don't care. They don't have any integrity. They don't have any honor. They're just there to do whatever you're telling them to do, whatever the establishment is telling them to do. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful that Ricky Gervais went in and just lit them up like that, because it needed to be done. It needed to be done. We are at a serious crossroads in this country. We have gone way beyond this idea of what's good, what's bad, who knows, who doesn't know, and there is just this bubbling of the two. You've got the rich establishment who's fighting tooth and nail to keep the gravy train running. You've got everybody else that's wanting that American dream to kick in finally, like they've been told since they were born or since they immigrated over, that it's going to kick in. And they are going to butt heads. They are going to butt heads unless somebody can come in and loosen the tension. And that's exactly what Ricky Gervais did. It took an outsider. He's a British guy. I don't even think he lives here in the United States. I think he still lives in the UK. It took an outsider to cut through the fat. And that's why this was such a fantastic little monologue on his part. And I highly recommend you guys checking it out, because it couldn't have come at a more important time. And I just kind of wanted to make a video on it, because if you haven't seen it, if you're like me, if you avoid those award videos, like I said, this first 10-15 minute monologue, all you need to watch of this 3-hour pile of garbage, because the rest of it, I could have told you who was going to win most of those awards before they started giving them out. We used to do that when I did work in Hollywood. We used to do this pick'em league, if you will. And my roommate and I won almost every year, because it's so blatantly obvious which ones are going to win that it's not even fun anymore, because they've taken all the guesswork out of it. You know, there has to be certain stipulations, because Hollywood knows what we need more than anybody, until you get a guy like Ricky Gervais comes down and basically pisses all over their face. You know what I mean? It's beautiful. It was like the best golden shower I've ever seen in my life, and it wasn't even an official golden shower, you know? I mean, he just came over and shat all over their ego, and it was glorious. Glorious, I say. So mad props to Ricky Gervais for actually having the balls to say it. I know he always, anybody who's ever followed his Twitter, you guys know that dude literally has notes to give about anybody's opinion. I saw him put out a tweet: no one retweets this, no one likes this, I'll donate $5,000 to whatever charity. And like immediately got a bunch of retweets, because most people, they don't actually pay attention. You know, they see a celebrity, they put out a tweet, they immediately start retweeting. So he then retweeted that tweet. You guys aren't understanding. Nobody comments on this. If nobody retweets this, I'll donate $10,000. Immediately, just hundreds and hundreds of retweets and comments and likes and stuff. And he just, I mean, he does this beautiful thing of just blatantly putting in your face the dichotomy of this idea of celebrity versus intelligence versus who you should admire versus who you should not. Now, I say all this. There is an importance of seeing representation in videos and stuff like that. I completely understand. That is a different talking subject on a different day. Today we are talking about the mindset of Hollywood. Because I can promise you this: runners of Disney, runners of Fox, runners of wherever you might be trying to get your movie, they do not give a shit whether you are a person of color or you have people of color in it. They only care if they're in there because they think that's what the audience is going to sell. I mean, they're so beyond ideas now that Warner Brothers is even calling in, teaming up with an artificial intelligence company to let the AI determine whether that movie gets made, because it's going to do a better job of predicting the financial outcome of that project than just a normal individual. That is how far gone they are in terms of what they think about us, what they think they are. They're to the point where they would rather have a machine decide for them than literally take the time to understand normal, average, day-to-day people. And so, again, major point in 2020, hitting the ground running. Thank the Lord to Ricky Gervais, because everybody knows what year this is. It is going to be a very tumultuous year till at least the end of November. So good start with Ricky Gervais, and fantastic. It was beautiful. Again, I highly recommend it. Link to the video and the transcription down in the description box. I suggest you guys check it out because it was fantastic. Either way, do yourself a favor, hit that sub button, hit that little notification bell so you know the next time I drop a video. We've got plenty of stuff coming up. I've got some talking points. Going forward, I did give you guys a heads up. I just want to continue that. It's going to be more of these like little opinion videos because I keep getting hit up with the copyright strikes when I try and do a Let's Play and stuff. So be on the lookout for that. Head on over to Twitch if you want more of the live stream look, and hit that follow button over there. Otherwise, do yourself a favor, check out Ricky Gervais's murdering of the Golden Globes, and then have yourself a fantastic rest of the day, because it's all you'll be thinking about. It's all I've been thinking about for the last 5-6 days, however long that the Golden Globes were ago, and it's been fantastic. Either way, that's going to do it for this one. BigSweetC, that's me. Wishing YouTube, that's you. Wonderful day, night, morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it might be. As long as you're watching, I'm wishing you a wonderful watching time. Sweetness, signing off. Peace.